how many bets should you be placing per day? So this is a question I get asked a lot, is how many bets should I be placing on a daily basis? 1, 5, 10, 100? Alex, how many bets should I be placing? That's what we're going to go through. Now, I want to say that the answer is more. More is just objectively better, but there is a massive if, right? The first thing you need to figure out is, are your bets actually profitable? If you're placing 5 bets or 100 bets and you don't have an edge over the sports book, you're going to lose money, right? If you think about most sports bettors, 99.9% of sports bettors can't beat the book. They don't have an edge over the sports book, right? So it doesn't matter if you place 1 bet, 2 bet, or 10 bets a day. If you don't have an actual edge, a mathematical advantage over the sports book, then you're not going to make money, right? Everything that we're going to talk about assumes you actually have an edge, right? Sports betting is one of the rare forms of gambling. It's kind of like poker, where you can actually win long term. You can't win in slots, right? You can't win in roulette. Those are games that you cannot beat. You cannot get a mathematical advantage over those games, but in sports betting you can. So the first thing, you need to realize is all of this assumes you actually have an edge. If you actually have an edge, then you want to place more bets because you're diversifying, essentially, a portfolio of mathematically profitable bets. But we'll go through that in a sec. So the second thing is, there's a big consideration of what time of year is it, right? Do we have a ton of sports going on or not many sports? Because if there's a lot of sports going on, there's a lot of games, then there's probably a lot of profitable betting opportunities, right? As a sharp bettor, we never want to force bets. So when I'm on the EV tool, I just hit the refresh button. I'm looking at all books that I'm currently wagering on. Sometimes there's a lot of profitable bets. So here you can see, when I refresh the tool, there's 4 profitable bets with profit margins over 1%. So sometimes there will be 2, sometimes there will be 0. So I never want to force bets, right? Like, as an investor, as a day trader, you wake up and you see if there's value in the market. It's not like every single day investors are like, I got to do a ton of stuff, right? I got to buy a building today. It's like, no, you wake up, you look through the market, you look for bargains, you look for deals, you look for value. And if there's a ton of sports going on, a ton of line movements, and if you're in a location with a lot of sports books, so again, there's 176 sports books on OddsJam. The more books you have, the better, right? More books means more profitable betting opportunities. So you can see if I put in, all sports books, the most profitable play currently available is on stake. You can get under 5.5 total goals in Blackhawk Sharks at plus 139 odds. No other book giving better than plus 124. Seems like pretty dang good value on this under on stake, right? It's an arbitrage play to Pinnacle as well, so the market is crossed. So long story short, this bet seems really good, but if you don't have stake, you can't place this bet, right? So a lot of this also depends on not only what time of year it is, but where are you located, how many books do you have, all that type of stuff. More sports books means more profitable betting opportunities, right? You never know which sports book is going to be screwing up on a given day. So you can see here, there's 2 really profitable bets on stake. Actually, 3 out of the top 5 bets are actually on stake. Under 6 in Blackhawk Sharks, which makes sense because they're also screwing up the under 5.5. Kansas City plus 2.5. Brandon Ingram over 24.5 points. This bet's on Ballybet. So if you don't have Ballybet, this sharp bet isn't available to you. And you can see it's insanely profitable. All the books are pricing this at minus 140-ish. You're getting minus 110 on Ballybet, so clearly a pretty good edge there. And then you got to bet on FanDuel. So a lot of it depends, how many books do you have? I encourage you to sign up for as many as you can, but if you only have 2 sports books, there's going to be less profitable bets. You should be betting less or placing less bets on a daily basis. If you're in a state like Colorado with tons of good sports books, you've signed up for all of them, right? You have Prize Picks, you have all these different books available to you. You should be placing a lot more bets, higher volume. But anyways, so assuming your plays have an edge, you want to place as many bets as possible with an edge on a daily basis. And the reason is diversification, right? Like, there's a reason you buy a portfolio of stocks. People always recommend, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, right? These are portfolio of stocks. No investment advisor will tell you, hey, put all your money in Bitcoin or put all your money in, this small little stock. People will tell you diversify. So it's not different as a sharp sports bettor, right? And I can actually give an analogy. Let's say, there's a coin. So this coin gives you an edge as a gambler. Let's say this coin is a weighted coin. It's 53% to show up on heads. So mathematically this coin is showing up on heads 53% of the time, tails 47% of the time. Now, let's say you had to put all your money on heads, or you only had one flip. We're going to flip this coin once for all your money, right? Obviously, if you had to do that, you'd pick heads, right? Heads is the more likely outcome. But that means there's still a 47% chance you go broke. If we flip this coin once, heads is favored. Heads, betting on heads has an edge, right? Heads is more likely. So if someone's like, hey, we're flipping literally everything you own, do you want heads or tails? You should pick heads. Heads is 53% to occur. But again, there's still a 47% chance you're broke. However, which is why, again, we recommend bankroll management and stuff like that. But now, let's say, you could flip this coin 1,000 times. Then the coin is 97.3% to show up on heads more frequently. And you can look at this with a binomial calculator. So let's say, so instead of just having one coin flip, whatever, for all of your money, someone was like, hey, you can have 1,000 coin flips. Do you want to bet on heads or tails? And if the coin shows up on heads more frequently than it shows up on tails, I'll give you $1 million. Otherwise, you give me $1 million or whatever. But you get my point. If you flip this coin 1,000 times, the probability that it shows up on heads more frequently, so I'm screwing up all these numbers. This should be 0.53, 1,000, and 500. Is you're going to see right here, if this frickin' calculator loads, I may have to reload it one more time, which is pretty frustrating, but I also have screenshots. But long story short, if your plays have an edge, right, so in this case, the coin has an edge of showing up on heads more frequently. If you flip that coin 1,000 times, it's 96.9% to show up on heads more frequently than tails. If you flip that coin 10,000 times, it's literally statistically guaranteed. Basically 99.999999999, right, percent certain that the coin showed up on heads more frequently than tails. So the point is, if your bets have an edge, right, you want to diversify because basically all you're doing is reducing risk. And it's kind of the same way, if we had this coin that's 53% to show up on heads, if we're flipping it 10,000 times, the probability it shows up on heads 5,000 times is, I literally don't know why the numbers aren't loading. It's very frustrating. 0.53. But anyways, it's just going to show you what we saw right here. And you can kind of play around with this calculator on your own if you want, and maybe the calculator will work for you. But again, as you increase the sample size, you're just reducing risk. So if you're a sharp bettor, you want to place as many bets as you can on a daily basis, as many EV bets as you can. Because again, your bets aren't guaranteed to win. If we know that coin is 53% to show up on heads, it's still showing up on tails 47% of the time. So if you're putting all your money on a few bets, right, you're still going to have crazy risk and crazy changes in, or if you're putting a lot of money, a lot of your bankroll on, let's say, one bet in a day, the most profitable bet, that bet may have an edge, but it's not guaranteed to win, right? You want to spread out your money over a large sample size of bets that all have an edge, and then you won't be up $1,000, down $1,000 each day. You'll probably be, up most days, but slightly, right? But you're not going to have as many losing days. So hopefully this video was helpful, just about, how many bets you should be placing per day. Feel free to reach out with any questions. Thanks.